Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of, I was about to say Pankration Philosophy, Open Mic Podcast. I am your host, Mike DeVore. With me today, I have fellow podcaster, MMA fighter, Pacholo Cruz.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Did I already plug your... Oh yeah,
my podcast is Pankration Philosophy. I mean, you have mentioned it several times. Thanks for that.
Anytime. I just want to make sure people know what's up. So yeah, Pacholo is a good friend of mine. We do comedy together. Sometimes when I'm in shape, or as I'm getting back into shape, or going to the gym, he's my MMA coach. Yeah. He breaks it down really well. So, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me here.
Anytime.
Good. Long-time listener / watcher, first-time guest. It's a cool time, man.
You're one of the only people that watches it.
For now.
For now. Trying to get more people onto it.
One of those hipster viewers, you know?
Yeah.
I got it before it was cool.
You're the OG.
the OG.
Yeah. Like I said, Pacholo is a good dude. Love talking to him, love hanging out with him. And just wanted to get him on the podcast to show him support and just to show love right back to you. And yeah, welcome to my studio.
That's cool, man. That's good. I really like the setup. I like the channel for sure, like I always said. Yeah. It's fun
perfect
stuff. Yeah.
So first question I have for you is the name Pankration philosopher. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, so it mainly came from, Pankration is the ancient Greek hybrid sport of, essentially was boxing and wrestling, like from there, and it was made, I don't know, like 3000 BC. But essentially, if you look at it, that's essentially what the first mixed martial arts was, like from there. And then that name became the name of the first MMA gym, and really only MMA gym that really trained at AMC Pankration. So
the first MMA gym that you trained at,
that I trained at,
okay,
and I still train there.
Nice,
but
it's kind of crazy, after, because you said it was like 3000 BC or 2000 BC.
I don't know, it was like probably something old like that. It was like when the ancient Greeks, it was part of the Olympics.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because it's crazy how throughout all these years, the name Pankration, was it always known as Pankration, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Pankration is a Greek word. Let's see,
like Greek salad? No.
Yeah, like Greek salad. Yeah. No, it translates to all force or something.
Okay.
Like that. So, because you could use all your forces when you were competing in this.
That's insane, because it's it leaves a lasting impact on the world of mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I constantly think about what people's legacy, what they leave behind.
Yeah.
And do you know? Is the person that created, do we know his name, or?
I don't believe so, because I think it's just one of the, it's who invented boxing or wrestling. I mean, there's the current iterations of boxing, but there was boxing before there was the rules that came in, and the Marquess of Queensberry rules that came in in the 1890s. But yeah,
that sounds so elegant. The Marquess of Queensberry rules.
I know, it was just a bunch of British guys who were like, hey, how the hell can we beat each other up? Marquess of Queensberry's.
Well, this is what we have to do. It was probably created by a guy named Marquess of Queensberry.
Yeah, no, I think Marquis was I think it's a title. It's not quite a duke. I don't know how lineages go, but yeah, the history of fighting is always interesting to me, because there's no one really invents it. It's just kind of discovered, and I feel like it's fighting just constantly just rediscovering things that have already been
it's made. Modern day gladiators.
Yeah. In that kind of sense, because there's the modern iteration of what we know as fighting with mixed martial arts. That was supposedly found in the 90s, but really people have been fighting for as long as
It's what Dana White says. Fighting is in our DNA.
As they get that branded.
Yeah. Shout out UFC. Maybe I can get UFC to sponsor this podcast. So I personally, for me, I got into fighting later in my life. I think what really got me into fighting was the UFC fight between George St. Pierre
Okay.
and BJ Penn.
Oh, nice.
The
second matchup between
the second
them?
matchup.
When it was
That's when I
title
really
fight?
got into it.
Yeah,
The first time I watched UFC was when it was Tito Ortiz versus Ken Shamrock.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like that was the first time
that's
I
like
watched it.
2000s.
But then
Oh,
like
man.
I stopped watching it because
Okay.
it's just whatever.
Yeah.
And then like my brother was like a big BJ Penn fan.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, I'll support BJ Penn.
Yeah.
And then because my brother is he's married to a Hawaiian,
Oh, okay.
so like he always supports
BJ Penn,
the
famous Hawaiian.
yeah. So he always supports the Hawaiian fighters.
Okay.
I think my brother appropriated that culture, but that's a different story.
A hopper.
Yeah, he's a mainlander.
Mainland hopper.
Yeah, and I think he embraced the culture because he's fat. I mean, I'm fat too.
Really get those Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, like got the cut off sleeves and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like so I was supporting BJ Penn. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then George St. Pierre just like dominated him.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this is. I was like, this is actually a cool sport.
Yeah.
So then like I would slowly follow along. Another main like impact, like a fight that I saw that really like, kind of changed my attitude.
Okay.
Was Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
I
that's a big one.
remember.
Yeah.
I remember watching that fight when I was in the Navy. Like it was like we were in Virginia Beach Hooters,
Okay.
and and I just remember like a bunch of white guys going, Brock Lesnar's going to
Yeah.
kick his ass.
Yeah.
And then I just remember like since I come from like a multicultural city,
Yeah.
I was just like, go Mexicans. And I like the entire Hooters was very quiet.
Yeah.
And yeah. So like what
Yeah.
like got you into fighting?
Let's see what got me into fighting. A lot of things. I'd say probably the first like fighting influence I had was boxing.
Okay.
I was a real big fan of boxing, like growing up.
Like what age were you? Like,
Like
remember?
real young, like 4 or 5. I
Was-
know when it came to, well, I also started learning boxing around that age.
Okay.
But yeah.
Did you always have a natural inclination or like were you all naturally drawn to boxing
Towards boxing, yeah.
or fighting in general?
Yeah, towards fighting in general. I just felt like, with the environment around me, I started learning boxing, and I started like just like following boxing too. I mean, that was like the days like, when like Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield,
Okay.
were, like, heavyweight champions there, and I was always like a big fan of Mike Tyson. Like that was just the just a cultural icon in terms of that, and that was I was just really enamored by just the power that that one can wield
Like it
from there.
like
Yeah.
a physical match.
Yeah.
I remember
Exactly.
it's fun. I actually remember the Evander Holyfield Mike Tyson fight.
Oh yeah.
I was really young,
Yeah.
and I just remember watching it in my neighbor's house. And then like, obviously like Mike Tyson bit the ear of
Yeah.
Evander.
Yeah. That was in their second match. Yeah.
The biggest thing I took away from that was like it was in the post fight like interviews.
Mhm.
Like they interviewed, I think it was Evander Holyfield's manager,
Yes.
and his manager goes like, Mike Tyson fought like a little bitch.
Yeah.
Like he kept saying that, and then my neighbor had like a 2-year-old or 3-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And then like the first thing she says is bitch,
Bitch.
bitch. So yeah, that was something.
Yeah.
So it was
Mhm.
like because you train MMA.
Yes.
When like what time did you go from boxing to MMA?
Yeah. So I guess really only started training MMA when I was in high school. So I did boxing, and then my family moved to the States when I was about around 10 years old or something.
Okay.
So that,
Oh yeah, you're from the Philippines.
yeah, from the Philippines, and then we moved to the area, and from here, I remember I started wrestling when I was like around 10 or so. So I started doing that, and then pretty much I started doing MMA when I was like about 15.
Okay. So you were young. So you had that,
Yeah.
like I said, you had a natural inclination. You were just drawn to.
Yeah, I just really liked fighting. I liked that kind of violent nature, I guess. like,
Nice.
from a kid. Yeah, and then
Violence.
bring it on.
Did you have a lot of energy growing up and you just needed to channel it?
Oh
through
yeah,
some?
for sure.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it was just naturally, or just not natural, but I guess I found like combat sports, and that's what I devote my energy towards. Yeah.
Like, what was your record as a wrestler? Did you do like all 4 years of high school?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really remember. I mean, some guys were like so big about that, but I remember I did a podcast with my other friends that are wrestlers. They know all their records and
They
stuff like
know
that.
all their
I
fights.
was like, yeah, I forgot. Nah, I was just there for the experience, really.
That's what's up.
Like,
Yeah, I was.
I guess that says I'm not a good wrestler. That's also what you could say.
Yeah, it's like, you know, well, yeah,
are you
like,
a good artist? Like, well, I kind of.
it's like like one of those things where it's like it's like you're so bad you're like, you know, records don't matter.
Yeah. It's like, how successful a musician are you? Well, you know, who looks at sales?
Yeah, it's all about the art.
It's all about the art.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then so you started training, you said when you were 15 years
15,
old.
16.
And how old are you now?
I'm 28.
Like, did you from going from wrestling, did you find like jujitsu pretty easy, or?
Yeah, there's like a transition, or there's good transition points like from there for sure. It's still, there's like different mechanics, of course. You have to just the way the game is played.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of there's a lot of takeaway and translation towards that.
So, like, do you do you have like belts in different like fashions of fighting?
Yes, I do have a belt, but that's the thing, because like the gym I trained at, we didn't have like Brazilian jiu-jitsu for like the longest time, so I mainly just trained like in like no-gi grappling.
Okay.
And then I guess I am like a blue belt or something. Whatever that means. I don't really know much about belts.
It just reminds us, like, belts don't matter.
Yeah. And it's like, good for you if you have, belts and all that. But I felt like, end of the day, it's all about experience and what you can do.
Would you prefer what do you recommend? Do you recommend like someone like training in one fashion and building up through there, or do you would you want fighters to like train in all aspects of fighting?
Yeah, I'd say like the best way, if I were to train someone, I'd say definitely you want to be exposed to everything. But I think when you're developing, I'd say like focus is a good thing. So maybe like focusing on one thing if you're a beginner, like one set at a time on like one art, and then see how that works, and then get that from there. Yeah. Is
there a specific like martial art that you recommend for beginners?
I wouldn't recommend like any particular one. I just say like find something that feels comfortable for you, because I think some people will end up gravitating towards like whatever martial art that they're naturally good at. Then like figure that out, like do striking, do grappling, see which one, and then start to do more of one, and then start to do to build that comfort.
Yeah, like it's funny. It's like I like training striking, but I enjoy doing BJJ more. But I like striking.
Yeah.
But I am terrified of sparring.
Yeah. I think that's not a bad thing. I feel like the point of sparring is to understand what works, and the fact that sometimes people can almost forget what the purpose of training is, and if they forget like, oh, there's consequences to this, like from there, if you forget about the consequences, then it kind of takes away from like understand the fighting purposes of it. I feel like you should have like a healthy balance of like understanding what is training, and then what's your goal in terms of, I feel like some people when they spar, they just end up going too hard and they learn nothing.
Yeah.
They just like, oh, you just take damage. Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah. You learn how to absorb damage.
And that's the thing. It's not like something. It's like, if you went to a gun range, you don't train yourself by how many bullets you can get shot at. From there, it's like the point is like getting purposeful offense and understanding defense. So, I feel like when it comes to training, I feel like it shouldn't feel. It's like it's that range of comfort, yet still getting out of your comfort zone, like from there. So you still need to feel safe, but you can't you can't put yourself in a zone where you're always panicked, because I feel like you can't get in a learning state.
Because I feel like you're in like fight and flight mode all the
exactly.
time.
Yeah,
like I said, I'd be terrified to spar.
Yeah.
Like, like when you typically spar, do you go like 100% or do you go? So you don't.
I'd say sparring is more like, I'd say it's more technical sparring in that kind of sense. The way I differentiate that is that I can't really put percentages into it, but the point is not winning. The point is learning. So like the point is understanding like. I feel like when you're sparring, the point is to get better as a fighter. So I guess what we're talking about when sparring, when you gotta see like what techniques work, right?
Yeah,
it's just like anything. I look at sparring as it's a physical debate. Like I do one thing, you do another thing. Like from there, I want to see like I want to put up a good argument in that sense. But also since the fact that we're not competing, we're learning. Sparring should be a point where I can put in new elements of things I'm not as good at, and I got to develop them there. Because I feel like if you focus too much on winning, then you forget about expanding your whole skill set. In terms of that. So
that reminds me of because I listen to a lot of MMA podcasts.
Yeah.
And I believe this one was like it was for Faraz Zahabi.
Yeah.
He's the head coach, the head trainer of TriStar Gym in Canada.
Yeah.
He's coached George St. Pierre, one of the considered like arguably like one of the greatest of all time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like he said, like when it comes to sparring, that's where you it's kind of like just trying out new things.
Yeah.
It's like because some coaches apparently like they only train one way, one style of fighting.
Yeah.
And my dog's like trying to get Joel's attention. Like you only train one style of fighting, and he was just saying like that's where you experiment. It's like if you feel that you want your like hands low as opposed to high, it's like we'll give it a shot in sparring.
Yeah, that's where you figure it out. It's like it's a lab. That's where you experiment. That's where you test your hypothesis and see like what works. And it's like that's why I feel because it gets harder. Like the more developed or the more skilled you are, the harder it is to develop newer skills in that regard. So, in essence, you have to spend more time to actually get less of skills, and it's like it's a recursive growth in terms of that. So, I feel like the more experienced you are, the more you have to focus on things.
Yeah,
to actually get improvement on it.
That's a good point because you can apply that to comedy.
Yeah,
I feel that I'm at a point where I've been doing this for 6 years, and I feel and I'm trying to change this habit, but I feel like I'm plateauing because I haven't really been learning. I haven't really been studying the game. Like when you're first new, like you absorb all this information, and like right now it's I'm at a point where I'm just like, do I really want to watch new headliners? Do I really want to like attempt because I feel it's like I'm comfortable with where I'm at, but in order to grow you need to step out of that comfort zone.
Oh no, for sure. I think that's true in like any path of mastery, for sure. And I think it's like once again because the growth pattern it's not a linear growth pattern. It's like it's a recursive growth. So it's pretty much when I say recursive, you're still growing, but the rate that you're growing is going at a less rate there. So while you're still growing, your path's kind of recursive, and it
goes up and then down, up and that's just life in general.
Yeah, that's just life in general, and I think that's the thing. Like learning is a series of plateaus, and the way that you there's really no way to prevent plateauing. I think plateauing is just like a state of learning in terms of that. It's just figuring out how to break through plateaus. Like,
are there like times when you're like, are you constantly learning, or are there times where you're just like, I just don't want to learn today?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely times. I mean, there's like times when you have like I think you have an X amount of like, willpower or like focus like from there. So sometimes you just gotta have fun, and if you're, it's that balance. Like sometimes sometimes you gotta, buckle down and learn, but then sometimes you just gotta, I feel like there's always an ever shifting balance of, okay, sometimes like go in there to learn, sometimes just have fun, sometimes do a mix of both, because burnout's definitely real.
That's
real in anything.
I get burnt out on Twitch, and I'm just trying to play video games.
Right. Yeah, it's like, oh man, who would have thought? And that's the thing. Anyone feel like, yeah, and anyone can get burned out on anything. So even on the thing you enjoy the most, it's like you gotta figure out again, like center yourself and like, oh yeah, why am I doing this thing?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's something I forget myself. That, like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Think about the goal. Think about why you started.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, what's it like to be a fighter? Like to get the step into the cage.
Yeah.
I bet you hear this all the time. It's like, oh, I can never do that. Like I hear it all the time as a comic. It's like, oh, I can never get on stage. For me, it's like I'm terrified to like just the thought of like being locked in with another human being and just having to fight.
It's a very, let's see how to describe it. Honestly, it's a very freeing feeling. Like at least for me, I think of. I would say, I've said this before as well. It's like being when you're heading towards like a fighter, or if you're heading towards like a ring or a cage or whatever the arena is. It's almost like I'm heading to the eye of a storm in that sense, where I can sense that all around me, essentially chaos is happening, and then I have to center myself and kind of be present in the moment. It's it's a different, how to describe being a fighter. It's definitely an emotional ride, like a ride of nerves, a ride of like of a lot of things. But I don't know, I've been fighting or been competing in like various different things, and outcomes, horrible wrestling record, horrible fighting record, it's like, right?
Well, records don't matter.
Yeah, records don't really matter. That's just how you know I'm not that successful. But in terms of like,
but the fact that you're putting yourself out there and giving it a shot, that like that's something in itself.
Oh yeah, no, that's something in itself too. And then really, that's the thing, because I used to be so, I guess, like results based when I was younger. I was like, damn, I'm a loser. I'm not doing as well as I thought I'd be. But now, especially now that I'm older, I'm like, I'm just glad I put myself out there, and I'm glad I gained that experience, because I feel like that's what ultimately matters, like the living experience of understanding what that's been through, and then understanding like, oh, I've done some things some people I've never even dreamt about doing. So it's like, or
people want to do, but they're afraid to give it a shot.
Yeah, and I feel like that step into the unknown is the biggest thing. Yeah.
And then like at least you can say with your life, it's like, oh, I have no regrets.
Yeah.
I did everything I wanted to do. Like I took chances, because like I know some people would be like, oh, like I wish I would have done this when I was younger. Yeah. I think that's like I think right now I'm going through a midlife crisis. But I've been doing everything I want to do. It's like, well, I think I'm thinking of like a midlife crisis as opposed to like, oh, like we're mortal, like we might die someday. Especially with the whole Kobe thing that just happened. It's like you never know when it's going to happen.
Sure.
And like I feel like I'm going through a midlife crisis, but like not necessarily like it's like oh, I should have done this. Like I need to do this with my life. It's more of like, oh, I could die.
But I think that's an important thing. I think that's, if anything, we're really all amidst a midlife crisis. We're just not aware of it. In terms of that, because we are all midlife. So what's the point of because the point of life is that there is an end, right? Because if there were no consequences, then like then why would anything you do matter? In that kind of sense. So I feel like and I hear with that notion of like, oh yeah, no regrets, or just trying to experience life. That's kind of like where I'm at in life too, where it's like, I just gotta try to do the thing I want to enjoy. And I know, and I kind of sense it's like, I feel like a lot of times like people have a midlife crisis or don't worry about that, is that they shut it out, or they shut out that voice. That like, cognitive dissonance in that kind of sense. And that's like, I think that's even more unhealthy. It's kind of like the thing of awareness of the problem is the first step to solving it towards there. I feel like a lot of people are just like blissfully unaware of their existence, and then that's how they go through life. And that's something I wouldn't want to go through.
Well, if they're blissfully ignorant towards it, then it's I don't think it matters to them.
Yeah.
However, it's the ones that like know that
Oh,
they like, that's what I don't want to live.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't want to like know like what my shortcomings are,
Yeah.
what my flaws are,
Yeah.
and then like just choose to ignore it.
Yeah, just willing to ignore. Another day.
Yeah.
But I think no one really is truly blissfully unaware. I think maybe I don't know, maybe some outliers. There are. I think most people are aware of that there are things they need to do, but they just shut it out.
Yeah.
Or it's like it's easier to shut it out than to actually do something.
It's easier to complain about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any things that you haven't done yet, or are there any things that you want to like challenge yourself in?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Outside of fighting.
Outside of fighting. Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely, I mean, we're both in comedy.
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's one thing I find very enjoyable for sure. And then I'm currently, still on this comedy journey. I definitely keep pursuing that. And I don't know, I feel like, I mean, like I said, I'm no longer really results based in my life. I'm just like looking at getting the process. So I'm enjoying like the comedy process. And that's like one thing.
I feel like for you, it's like after like experiencing fighting, you're like, oh, comedy, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Like I can bomb.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and like when it comes to losing in MMA, it's like that's bombing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. There's really no. It's kind of like kind of the opposite in terms of like, oh, what is a negative response like in terms of that? I'd be like, yeah, there are. There's bombing. There's like not doing well in that regard. But yeah, compared to like. The actual physical consequences, I'm like, oh yeah, there's pretty much none. Someone tries to fight me afterwards, but that's just
you're ready.
Funny. Yeah, I know. I was born for this. But yeah.
I was trained to handle hecklers.
Yeah.
That's why you got into fighting.
Yeah. But yeah, and let's see. Other than that, I enjoy. I guess like writing. I like writing. And
do you journal or anything? Or?
I try to journal. I try to. There've been multiple times where it's like, oh yeah, started my journal again, and then it's like, oh, that took off. But I try to get into like
a rhythm,
into a rhythm, like a constant writing process, and then it's like, because I remember I wrote a lot of stories when I was younger, or tried to write stories, and that's one thing I definitely would like to do, like write a book. In terms of that. But,
well, you're talking to a published author.
I know I am talking, and that's why I'm here.
It's so easy.
It's like you can just do it.
You can just do it. That was the reason I did that. One, I was going through I was revving up through a manic episode. Yeah. But two, I just got the idea. It's just like what does it take to write a book and get it published?
Yeah.
And turns out it's easy. It's so you just gotta publish it through Amazon.
Yeah.
Like with the internet and technology these days, it's like another reason why I did it is I wanted to prove to people nothing can stand in your way of your goal.
Yes.
Granted, my goal was 2 days old.
Yeah.
But
no, but there's still an ending point.
Yeah.
From there.
There's people that it's like, oh, I want to write a novel. I want to write this, but they don't take steps to do it.
Steps towards it. No, I think that's a big thing. I think also that's a critical thing, like having small manageable steps in terms of that.
True.
Because I know, because I remember looking back at stories I wrote, like, oh yeah, I had no idea how this was gonna end. Why did I even start it?
Yeah.
In terms of that, like, if I had no idea how to patch this through together, of course it becomes just a constant hiatus because I'm not. I think that's. How am I gonna get there?
I think that's life in general.
Yeah.
You don't know where the destination is going to take you, so you might as well just this whole comedy journey for me. I don't know where it's going to lead me. I don't know where it's going to lead. I didn't think I was going to be living in Washington 6 years ago when I started.
Yeah.
So you just follow your instincts, follow your journey.
Exactly. It's just that life journey in general. From there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you. So you like I said, I don't think I mentioned this, but obviously I'm a huge fan of MMA. You're also a huge fan of MMA.
Yeah. Actually, so.
Do you have a favorite fighter, or do you have are there fighters that you?
Yeah, there are definitely fighters I look up to, but in a sense, especially just being around it so long, you just realize that. I mean, there is no such thing as a perfect fighter.
Yeah.
I mean, but there are.
Unless you create one in UFC.
Yeah, but then create a fighter in terms of that. But then still, what is perfection? But yeah, there are definitely fighters I look up to in terms of their accomplishments, what they've been able to do, their skill set.
Yeah.
In terms. Yeah, there's a lot. Actually, I can find elements in like most fighters, but yeah, I just enjoy the sport and the creativity of it. Sure.
Same here. Like I said, like I've never grown up doing martial arts, but watching MMA and just like following people's backstories, following like their training regimens.
Yeah.
Like, and like obviously like there's always one winner, one loser.
Yeah.
Like MMA taught me that like losing or failing is part of the process.
Yeah.
Like you always hear it, like especially when I first started like doing comedy.
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of helped me doing comedy.
Yeah.
Was it's like, oh yeah, like there's going to be times where you bomb, there's going to be times where you fail.
Yeah.
And it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one of the best like times I saw like a MMA fighter handle a loss very well was with Dominic Cruz when he lost his belt to Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
And he just like he just faced the MMA media.
Yeah.
Like he was pissed obviously.
Yeah.
But like he handled it with class, and I like that to me stood out, and it's like I want to handle a bomb like that.
Yeah.
It's like I just the crowd wasn't like it's not the crowd, it was me, like I just didn't deliver, and got to take my lump at like on the chin and take it like a man.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's very I mean, taking accountability is a very powerful thing in terms of that, because I think by taking all the responsibility, you have to bear the weight of it. But in essence, it's like I think it's harmful to self-development to like shriek from responsibility. And from there, I think you have to be accountable for all your actions. I remember that. For sure, Dominic Cruz, especially like how he was standing up the whole post-fight, like press conference, like I don't need to sit down. I'll stand up and like answer all these questions. I remember that for sure.
Yeah. So I recently, like, I mean, we're gonna talk about this.
Yeah.
But recently, UFC 247.
Yeah, 247.
Yeah, like it happened last week.
Yeah.
And it was the main event was John Jones versus Dominic Reyes.
Yes.
If you don't know, John Jones is also arguably one of the greatest of all times.
For sure.
Granted, there's asterisks to his names and picograms to his picograms to his name.
Yeah.
However, I don't know when it like for like part of the reason why you watch MMA.
Okay.
But for me, part of it is like the possibility that anything could happen.
Yes.
And like just like you never know like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
For example, like I'm not a big fan of John Jones in general.
Yeah.
Just based off his character.
Yeah.
Like, but however, I appreciate the fact that like he's one of the greatest. Like I like seeing greatness.
Yeah.
But the main reason I was so invested into this fight was I just wanted to see the underdog overcome.
Yeah.
And like triumph.
Yeah.
And it almost happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, I mean, what you talk about right there, it's like that, it's that underlying narrative, you know, behind fighting it's very, I mean, it can't be understated in terms of that. It's like, you know, it's like two people's wills essentially are at the forefront of it. So, I mean, that's what makes it encapsulating to watch. Right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just the two stories, like from there, like it was it was an enjoyable fight. I mean, for me, for sure, for watching and then just seeing that happen. And yeah, I'd say
who'd you think won the fight?
I scored for Dominic Reyes.
Yeah,
for sure. But hey, that's
never leave it up to the hands of the Texas Commission.
I know that's the thing. It's like one. I think that's a dumb saying about not leaving up to judging, and then it's like, you know, then what's the point of this combat situation? Right?
Yeah.
But it's I mean, it just shows how shaky this concept of, because you know what other sport can there be where the real winner doesn't win? You know, in terms of that, right? Or what is winning?
In fighting in general.
Yeah, right.
What do you think of the like I said, like I'm a fan of the sport, but I don't critique like fighters. I'm not one to feel like, oh, he needs to do this, he needs to stand up, he needs to keep it, because I don't know, like I don't train, so like I'm not gonna go out of my wheelhouse to like my lack of knowledge and basically So I don't know where I was going with that, but
Okay.
but I just I don't know.
I don't know. Well, maybe you're trying to get to like, where do you think the sport should go?
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. Sorry. Basically, it's like, what do you think about open scoring? What do you think about like? Because I don't even really understand the 10-9 system.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. A lot of people don't really understand 10-9 system. So the 10-9 must system. So what that means is that it's a pretty much the round winner is gonna get 10 points, and then the round loser gets like at a maximum 9.
Okay.
In terms of that. So the only reason that would change would be points get taken away. Right. So let's say if a round winner was for some reason docked like a point, then it would be like a 9-9.
Yeah. Or a 10-8.
Yeah, or a 10-8 or a 9-8. In case if someone was docked. From there, yeah. So where 10-8s happen is like, well, for boxing is easy. It's like, a knockdown. In terms of that takes a 10-9 round to a 10-8 round, and then that's the thing. It's not boxing, so yeah, it becomes more confusing.
If you don't know, the 10-9 must system was designed for boxing.
Yes.
And then like when MMA was starting to get regulated, they just adopted the system.
Yeah.
However, since as MMA grown, there are flaws into the system.
Oh, for sure.
So the main critique is, it's like, how do we fix that?
Yeah.
I know, like I said, I started watching MMA later, so I'm not familiar with Pride.
Yeah.
And I believe they say Pride had a really good system. It's like they told you the score, or is that just kickboxing?
No, that was K1 and Glory.
Okay.
They have what's called like an open scoring system. So what that is that they show, the judges will show what their score is end of the round. So like round 1 gets done, round 2 you see like who the judges won round 1. From there, and Pride, what it had was they called it they said that they judged like the whole fight like from there, so they didn't have like a round by round scoring system. They said they scored the fight from there, from matters of they felt did more to finish the fight. That's how they looked at it.
That's
in terms of that.
Do you think the sport should go that way, or?
I mean, because that's the thing. It goes into what, both get kind of murky in terms of that. In terms of like, there's still no set way of winning in that kind of sense. But I feel like it's got to be more standard.
Just based on what you said, because it said it's more geared to who's trying to finish the fight.
Yeah.
But that's how it is in other sports. It's you could be winning early on.
Yeah.
Like case in point, the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I forget who's the.
It was the Chiefs versus the 49ers.
49. That's what it is. Like 49ers were taking it the entire until the last minute, and Chiefs came through and finished.
Yeah.
I think an open scoring system, at least try it.
I know. I feel like open scoring. I feel like open. I mean, because people. I mean, there's a lot of people that say that it doesn't work, or that it invites coasting, or invites not being offensive.
I don't think that's.
I was like, yeah, and that's the thing. I was like, if I was in a fight and I still knew I was winning, I'd be like, hey, this person still could knock me out at any time. So why would I even coast?
Yeah.
In that kind of sense.
Why would I want to give it up?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's
can you get penalized for coasting?
For inactivity, you can get penalized for inactivity, or being not engaging.
That's funny.
So I feel like if anything, it's how you combat it. If you feel like they're being inactive, then start docking more people. In terms of that. Yeah, I feel like there could be some changes in terms of open scoring. I feel like that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I know that the state of Kansas they offered that to the UFC, or to in their state they offered that to MMA promotions just to give it a try.
Yeah,
and I watched the Luke Thomas show a lot. And I mentioned this before, and the way they're testing it out is they're saying it's you could do the entire card or you could just do the main event. just to give it a shot. I think that'd be really. I would too, like, because that would be a smaller card. It's obviously, like, UFC doesn't go to like other states, other smaller cities.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a fight night.
Yeah.
And I think I would tune in even though I tune into all of them.
Yeah.
I would tune in even more just to see how it would play out.
Yeah, how that plays out. No, for sure. I would say I think that's an interesting system. For sure. And if anything, yeah, when I was watching Jones Reyes, I was actually involved in this this app called the Scoring Senate. So it's,
okay.
Yeah, it was I posted on Twitter too, but Steve, the guy that does it, he asked me to be like one of the judges, and then we all.
Is it a beta app?
Yeah, it's a beta app. Like, but how it is, it had all the. I mean, we score all the fights on the main card, but we 10-9 and like give who got won that round. So I was actually I was actively judging it as I was watching.
That's actually really cool. It gives it more and if fans like, so it'd be like a community thing.
Yeah.
So like that's a fucking great app.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
Yeah.
And then I mean, I'll let you know if he's doing it for the next one. Yeah, because he's looking to
test it out.
But
I would love to do that.
Look it up, Scoring Senate. On Twitter.
Do you need a beta, like a permission code?
Yeah, because it's like because he gave us like a beta account. So hey, just getting that message out there.
That's awesome. I think I'll promote that. Yeah. Senate Scoring, you said on Twitter?
Senate Scoring, or Scoring Senate. I'm pretty sure I think it's.
If you Google
Senate.
like Scoring Senate or Senate Scoring, it'll pop up.
Yeah.
Guess what, dude? We're already like 45 minutes deep.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
that. It flew by. Like, I don't like. I have another topic here.
Yeah.
Like one of the last ones I wrote down.
Okay.
But Tyson Wilder too is coming up.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't start becoming a boxing fan until after I got into MMA.
Okay.
Like, because I'm starting to like appreciate other fighting.
Yeah.
However, even though like I don't know much about boxing, like I know less about boxing than I do MMA.
Okay.
And I just remember, like I try to watch fights, but then like it's just hard for me.
Yeah.
I know from the first Tyson Wilder, like it was pretty epic in the sense that is it Tyson Fury?
Yeah. Tyson Fury
and Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is the one that can has knockout power.
Yes.
At any moment.
At any moment. Yeah.
And from what I remember from the first fight was that Tyson Fury was winning the entire thing.
Yes.
And then he almost lost because Deontay just dropped him.
Yeah, just dropped him in like in the last round, like the 12th round. Just knocked him down. And it looked like he was out.
Wow.
Sure. Yeah, from there, and then he just managed to get up. But he gets up and then took it to Deontay Wilder. So
that's awesome.
That was
That's awesome. So how are you? Is there like a fighter that you think like that you're rooting for or that you think is going to win?
I feel like, I mean, just looking at that, I'm favoring Wilder actually in that, because I just feel he has I know he has a kind of eccentric style but I mean he knows how his ticket to winning, and that's knocking people out, and he's just managed to, and his record is like, I don't know, 40. And I think he's like 40 fights, and he's had only 2 fights go to decision. So his fight against Fury the first time, yeah, and then the other time he went to decision, he then fought the same guy that he won the decision, but then he fought that guy again, and he knocked that guy out in 1 round or 2 rounds.
Oh wow,
like something like that. So I think he just does better in rematches as well, especially if he's able to clip you, and then. It's interesting. Yeah, he's a very, very different kind of boxer for sure.
That's awesome.
And it's just heavyweight boxing heavyweight's kind of always interesting to me because, when you get higher up in the weights, the skills kind of matter less because you have
more of the knockout power.
Exactly, because physical attributes end up becoming more important.
Yeah,
in that kind of sense.
What do you think of the notion of lower weight classes are boring? Like it doesn't interest the casuals.
I think that's kind of dumb. Well, I guess I don't think it's kind of dumb. I think that is dumb, especially because there's a lot of lower weight classes are where more action happens. And if anything, like look at boxing now, more of the famous boxers are in lower weight classes.
Yeah, that's true.
Floyd Mayweather famously fought at what is welterweight for boxing, which is like 147.
Oh wow.
Like from there, that's pretty low. And then, I mean, hell yeah, Manny Pacquiao starts great. I think like 116.
Wow.
Something like that. Like weighing, like didn't have a lot of rice behind him. But yeah.
So like, so you feel like boxing, like obviously, like it's more popular for the lower, but with MMA, like I remember having this discussion with a buddy of mine. His name was Eric.
Yeah.
Is Eric, not was.
Yeah. His name was Eric. Now it's wrong.
And he was like, I remember like we were talking about Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah.
And like I'm a fan because I'm just and you train with Demetrius Johnson.
Demetrius Johnson.
Not to name drop. But
yeah.
He like he was just like, oh, it's so boring because there's no knockouts. But I'm like, dude, it's like so technical.
Yeah.
Like when and if you tune him out, like you miss greatness. Like that one time when Demetrius Johnson did the suplex to the armbar. Yeah, like that's fucking ridiculous.
You're not gonna see a heavyweight do that.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome though.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
So I don't know. Do we have any? Let's see. Let's check chat real quick. From Lieutenant Nutsack. What's up, dude? Hey, what's up, Lieutenant Nutsack?
What up, Lieutenant Nutsack?
This is Pacholo. He's the host of the Pankration Philosophy podcast.
Yep.
Check him out. So yeah. If I feel like we covered a lot today.
Yeah.
Where can they find you on social?
Yeah, so on Twitter, I'm at the Pocholo Cruz, just my name, ThePocholoCruz, and then my handle Pankration Philosopher. That's what I'm at on Instagram, and then SoundCloud.com/Pankration Philosophy. My podcast also on Spotify, Apple Music, and Stitcher, whatever the hell Stitcher.
I know, right?
I was like, do you use that like now? But apparently some other people do.
Yeah.
But
the losers. No, I'm kidding. But to be fair, I have yet to I need to get my podcast on other platforms.
Okay.
The only reason I haven't done it is I don't have a cover art to my.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I'm like, there's one person that expressed interest in doing it, and so I'm just kind of like waiting on him just to give it a shot. So
nice. Getting that cover art, baby.
Yeah.
That's how people can reach me. And
nice. Well, if that's the case, thank you for tuning in to the Open Mic Podcast. We had a great time here today.
Oh hell yeah!
And I'll just catch you guys next time. You guys take care. Have a good day. Later.